No good. So Hebrews chapter 7. This is retelling the story from Genesis chapter 14. And in Genesis 14, if you remember Abraham, in Genesis 12, God says to Abraham, he says, I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be blessed. I will curse those that curse you, and bless those that bless you, and you shall be a blessing. Everybody remember that? Genesis 12, 1 and 2. And he says to Abraham, he says, I want you to leave your kindred, get out of here, and go to a land I'll show you, and I want you to leave your family. But he doesn't quite obey just right. He takes Lot with him. You know, but okay, he sinned a little bit. That's all right, because he's under grace. There's no law at the time. Did you know that? When Abraham was living, there was no law. And Paul says in Romans, he says, when there's no law, sin can be imputed. So even though Abraham didn't perfectly keep God's command, that sin wasn't put on his account because he was under grace the time before the law came in. The law came in about 430 years after Abraham had this promise from God. So he says, I want you to leave. So he leaves, and you remember, he did real well. He and Lot, they did well, and they did so good they had to split up. Well, when they split up, there were some kings that went to war, and they captured Lot. You remember Lot? He lived in Sodom. Remember that story? So they captured Sodom and about 4 or 5 other ones. And Abraham, he really gets mad. So somebody comes and says, hey, they took Lot, and he says, I'm going to go kick some rear end. I'm going to go get the guys. I'm going to bring Lot back, and I'm going to rescue him. So he goes to battle. Here's Abraham. He takes 319 of his trained servants against 5 kings and 5 armies, and he defeats them with 319 people. That's the favor of God on his life.
Amen.
I mean, how can you defeat 5 armies with 319 people? It's impossible. But he does. And anybody here, maybe you're 50, 60 years old or older, do you ever remember, like a long time ago in the 60s, you could race for pink slips? Yeah, I think there's even a show on today. So what happens? You go racing, and what happens if you win the race? You get the car. You get the other guy's car. Well, that's what happened back then. It was to the victor goes the spoils. So when Abraham defeated all 5 of these kingdoms, guess what he got? He got all the stuff. He gets all the stuff. And as he's coming back from battle, he meets somebody on the way. Anybody know who he meets? Melchizedek. That's right. You guys looked in Hebrews chapter 7. I know you did. Cheating. That's sin too. But it's okay. It's all right. Don't get concerned. It says, this Melchizedek. Let's go back to chapter 6, verse 20. It says, whether the forerunner has entered in, even Jesus, made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Now that means that Jesus, when he came, how many know that he is our high priest? And when he came after the order, after the rank, after the quality and character of Melchizedek. Now, the law was under the Aaronic or Levitical priesthood. Jesus did not come after the Levitical priesthood. That's where the law came from. Jesus came after Melchizedek. In John chapter 1, verse 17, it says, for the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus. Jesus did not come after the law. So he comes after this mysterious guy, Melchizedek. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part. And what's a 10th part called?
Tithe.
A tithe of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Under the old covenant, now this, I love this passage because it uses tithe. And how many know that tithe was one of the 613?
Yeah.
All right, there was a law that said that you had to tithe. And there was also other laws that said you had to give offerings. Well, under the old covenant, if under the old covenant, if I tithed, would I be blessed or cursed?
Blessed.
I'd be blessed. So as I obeyed the law, I would be blessed. But what happened if I didn't tithe? I'd be cursed. So Blessing or cursing was the result of what? What I did or didn't do. So if I tithe, I'm blessed, and if I don't tithe, I'm cursed. Well, guess what? Jesus didn't come after that covenant. He came after Melchizedek. And it says that Jesus, the name Melchizedek, it says first by interpretation, it's the king of righteousness. Now, Melchizedek is a compound Hebrew word, Melech Sedek. Melech Sedek. Melech means king. Sedek means righteousness. King of righteousness. And it says, first by interpretation, king of righteousness. So the first thing we know about his name is that he is the king of righteousness. And then it says, secondly, also, he's king of Salem, or king of Jerusalem, which means he's king of peace. So he's the king of righteousness, and he's the king of peace. Can I tell you today,